we wanted to make sure that while we were in this bus, it was very comfortable and spacious and not cramped. Doing a Skoolie, everything is a compromise.
You know, we were thinking about how much battery we're gonna need.
That took quite a bit of brain work for me to come up with something that satisfied me. Hi, I'm Steve. This is Barbara. Our bus is Hakuna Matata Adventure Bus. Come on in and let's take a look.
We are in my kitchen. I like to cook. That's why it's the biggest part of the bus. He made all the drawers. I have 5 of my kitchen drawers of my house and just 1 drawer. Pots and pans and deep for all my baking and flour supplies. The countertops, I found it on eBay. It was a gentleman in Boca that was having his kitchen redone, and he needed somebody to take, because they were a lot bigger than what it is, and he needed somebody to take it out of his house because it was too heavy, and he already have 2 different people that have come and they couldn't take him out. So when I called them and said, you have to bring 4 people's minimum, otherwise don't come. Don't bother to come, and I can't help you. My back is bad, so you have to bring 4 strong people. But knowing my husband, we didn't need it 4 people, because he made a little dolly with the wheels from his table saw that we put the planks on it, and we just wheeled it out, and the guy was just shocked how easy we got it out of there, because they were a lot bigger, and this one was not only this that was bigger, it was also within an island size, so it was like an L piece, and they were really heavy, and they were free. Drying rack is from IKEA, and first we were thinking about putting something on the window, and then our friend said, why are you gonna, and we found this one that it doesn't drip over the counter. It has a dry drip, and it keeps everything there, because I didn't want to have something on the counter and take my space out. So when I do the dishes, I just wanted to get it out of the way. When we were looking for a refrigerator, the research that Steven was doing is the ones that are with they have the coil on the outside of the refrigerator in the back are built to use a little bit, they can be in a little bit hotter places than the ones that don't have the coils outside. So we both made sure we bought one of those, and it doesn't get all the way to the back, so it has plenty of room for space. So this side is a continuation of the kitchen. On this side, we have all the canned goods. So it's like a pantry, but instead of being pantry, it's just the drawers. And then on the top is more of a pantry, but the water heater is here. And another thing that is here that you can see later is when we were building, you know, we were thinking about how much battery we're going to need, because we didn't know how much battery we're going to need. And we thought that the microwave would use too much power for the battery, so we thought we were not able to have it. But then the first 3 months that we moved into the bus, we were living in our driveway just to make sure that, you know, it meet everything we needed. And we still have the garage if we needed to do something. But we find out that it takes more electricity when we have the stove to heat it up, food or a pot of water to make tea. It takes longer, so it brings a lot of heat from the stove, that it was more convenience for us to put a microwave for a minute and heat it up. They've having 10 minutes the stove going and bringing all that heat into the house. So last minute thing, he built a shell and we bought a small little microwave, and now we have a microwave in there. This side is just our clothes on the top, and then his side with all his clothes, and then my side. I mean, it's clothes there that I brought that I haven't even worn one, so I think we had enough.
All right, so the bus is a 2007 Thomas C2. It really wasn't the first choice for us as far as the model of the bus and the design. The Thomas C2s, the sides kind of lean in, and they're not flat walls. That they don't just lean; they also have a crook in them. So fitting everything in is more challenging to do that. But like everything with doing a Skoolie, everything is a compromise. You know, the size of the bus is a compromise. You want to have the Taj Mahal on the inside, but you still want to be able to park it. So you want something small, and you want something big at the same time. So you've got to make a compromise on the size of the bus. You've got to make a compromise on how much money you want to spend on the bus. How new of a model bus. I mean, it'd be nice to have a mechanical engine so there's no computers, but computerized engines are more efficient and cleaner burning. So we probably spent a year deciding what we wanted to do for retirement. We were actively looking for a bus for at least a year. And this was the last bus, obviously, that we looked at. And the price point was on the high end. We paid $9,000 for the bus, which I know is a lot of money as far as what other people have spent for buses, from what I've seen on the Facebook groups and everything. But she only had 30,000 miles, and rolling underneath the bus to inspect it before we bought it, it looks like a brand new vehicle underneath it. So we're at the front of the bus, and I guess you'd call this the living room and dining room. We've got this nice fold-out sofa. So the mattress it's a 5-inch foam mattress. We picked it up off of Amazon, and Barbara cut it in half with one of those electric knives, like for slicing a turkey, that goes right through the foam. So that was a win. She made the covers, and it's sewn where the covers act like a hinge. So when you unfold it, they don't spread apart on you when you're laying on it. The base here is about 3.5 inches tall at the outboard side. So the front part of the seat is higher than the back, and it makes it much more comfortable for sitting on. But when you fold this out, it's flat. And there's a couple of legs that we keep in the drawer down here. And the legs become the handles. We screw the leg in, and then we can pick up the base and lay it out here, put the mattress back on, and it's a full-size bed, complete full-size bed, extremely comfortable. The openness and the space and the feng shui, if you're familiar with that term, that was really important to us. We wanted to make sure that while we were in this bus, it was very comfortable and spacious and not cramped. So the focus for having the large drawers in the kitchen and the pantry and the closets. And we also have drawers down here below the bed. We're all in effort so we didn't have to have any cabinetry up on the top. And that gives it that open feeling. This is an oak wood frame, 1x2 oak wood frame with 1/4-inch plywood on the top and the bottom. It's hollow, which makes it very light, and it's still very, very strong. I wouldn't try it, but you could probably sit on the thing and it'll be fine. And this is where we have all of our nails. Our windows that came with the bus were not good. They had plastic frames, and the sun had ate the plastic up. And so that actually put the kibosh on us for a while for us to figure out where we can get windows. I found these from a distributor called Mobile Home Depot. These windows are made by a company named Pocahontas, and they'll make the windows to your dimensions. And that was important because I didn't want to mess with the structure of the bus. Before I installed them, I took them to an automotive tinting company, and they put the high heat reflective metallic top of the line window tinting on these things. And that is a tremendous helper to keep the heat out. I mean, it's almost, before I installed the windows, I took one of the windows and held it over my head in the sunshine, and it was almost like taking a piece of wood and putting it over my head the way it blocked the heat from the sun. So I was very impressed with how this stuff works. When we bought the bus, we had the standard sheet metal ceiling headliner in here, and that seemed fine. You know, being in South Florida all the time, with the sun beaming on the roof, I found out that the standard insulation that came in this bus, which I could show you here, does an outstanding job. It's just like polyester, like you would have in a ski jacket or something. It's about 1.75 inches or 1.5 inches thick. And like right here, I can't feel any heat at all right here. And the sun is baking directly on the front of that piece of sheet metal that's behind this. So when we learned that insulation did such a great job, it's like we weren't going to replace it. And it was already as old as it was, and there's no mold or anything. It was all in great shape. So the whole ceiling of the bus is utilizing that insulation. There were a couple gaps from the factory insulation that they installed, so we borrowed pieces that were in the walls for that. And then for the walls, we put Kills mat on the sheet metal to help make the bus a little bit more quiet for going down the road. And I think that's making a difference because I really can't compare. But after the Kills mat, we have 1.5 inches rock wool. And so that's from the ceiling down on the walls and the back. Does a great job. The walls are 3/4 inch plywood, and I believe 3/4 inch plywood is R1. And you know, I don't have the greatest amount of insulation in here, but it's been adequate. We've been anywhere from really hot to really cold, and the only thing I would have wished I could have had was double pane windows, because the windows let a lot of cold and heat to transfer. But the walls have been fine. The floor has got 3/4 inch foam board with 3/4 inch plywood on top of that. And we use the luxury vinyl planking on the floors. We did a lot of looking and a lot of options on what you could do on the floors. And, you know, it's been perfect. There's been no expansion and contraction issues. We've got it actually with no space left for expansion and contraction when we installed it. Well, I say no space. I left only like 1/8 inch all the way around the perimeters, but I end up coming back and I've caulked all the edges to make it waterproof. So it can't move on any of the edges that are caulked in place. And areas like under the sofa, the planking stops just out of view, and I've got it screwed down so that can't move. And around the entry step well, that's all screwed in place. And there has been no issues with expansion and contraction. Again, from really, really hot climate and not even having the AC on and the sun beaming on it, and down to freezing, it's been no issues, and it's holding up really well, and it looks great.
I always knew it was a big country, but now this year that we've been traveling for the last 6 months, it's a big country. I mean, when you get out there, it's just amazing. And to see, you know, it's just, for me, was not really about living small, it's about traveling. And
we're kind of living large, actually.
yeah, it's just being on the road and meeting new people and just traveling and look and travel. I love to travel. And
we are completely comfortable in this bus. The two of us, for the most part, we don't get in each other's way. You know, we've got one sink, so when it's time to brush your teeth, one of us does it before the other, you know. I don't feel like I'm cramped. I feel like I'm just home. All right, we're in the back with the bedroom, and there's a lot of stuff in this little area. You can't really see all that much, but I'll go over it one piece at a time. We got a standard Nature's Head toilet. We've been very happy with it. We did away with the urine tank and plumbed it into our gray water tank. Have had only one incident of the hose, the urine hose, getting clogged up with calcium or minerals or something. A suggestion for others, we use a 1/2-inch garden hose for that. So any plumbing surges wouldn't have be a threat to backwash or something while you're driving. That's worked perfectly fine. And then all the connections underneath the bus on all that are with standard garden hose spin-on fittings. So when that thing clogged, all I had to do is run under there and unscrew both ends. It's just a length of garden hose basically. And I flushed it out with a little piece of wire and it's back to working perfectly again. We normally use a ketchup bottle for flushing because the little cap, it doesn't spill or leak if it tips over. And we put about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch of chlorine bleach in here before we fill it. So it's a fairly strong solution of bleach. And we hadn't been doing that for a while with the bleach. And I think that's why it clogged up. But we're back to doing that since the clog day. It's a standard configuration with the fan and 12-volt power going to the toilet. I got this from Amazon, these hospital curtain type tracks. So our shower curtain comes over around here. It's a full-size shower while we're talking about that. I believe it's 32 inches. I got that at Home Depot. It's a nice deep pan. We've got ceramic tiles. Have had no issues with that. The installation for the ceramic tiles, that took quite a bit of brain work for me to come up with something that satisfied me. I've got 16 gauge aluminum for my moisture barrier screwed to 3/4 inch plywood. And then the ceramic tiles are adhered to the aluminum using Gorilla Construction adhesive. I did all kinds of testing to make sure that those products were going to be the right thing to use, and it's been great. And we use the regular tile grout too. No cracks, no issues. It's been fabulous. We also have a curtain to close off the bedroom right here. And we use that for when we're sleeping at night. We'll close that curtain. So the mini split that's back here, the 9,000 BTU mini split, only has to cool this small area off. And we save quite a bit on electricity by not having to cool the whole bus at night. We built the battery. I bought the cells from Alibaba, and I bought a BMS. It's a 24-volt battery that I built, 280 amp hours. And it's more than enough to run air conditioning in here 24/7. As long as we've got good sunny days, we're good to go. I have a MultiPlus 3000 24-volt inverter charger, which is the most fabulous device I think that there is, or anything that works like it. It has the battery assist feature, where if you're plugged into shore power and not getting enough sun, for example, if you're under the trees or whatever, you can limit the amount of power that comes off of shore power and not pop breakers or melt your power cords and stuff like that. It's truly wonderful, wonderful device. The electrics in here are really what makes this bus work. Without an inverter like what I have, and strong battery like what I have, and the solar that we have, this would just be another camper. It truly changes. It's a game changer to be able to have the technology we have nowadays. On the roof, I have 6 panels. They're 395 watt a piece, so it's just under 2,400 watts of solar. And all of my electronics is Victron. I just gravitated toward that because when I was doing my research, they just seemed like the way to go for me. And I've been very happy, completely flawless. There's been not even the first hiccup with any of that. And the online training makes that pretty simple too. We have a 100-gallon water tank below the bed on this side. And we have 2 filters for the water. All the water that comes into the bus goes through the 2 filters. I'm trying to remember the name, rvfilters.com, something like that. They seem to be the go-to guys, and I'm happy with their product. If we're ever in an area where the water is something that we don't want in our tank, I've got the valving back here where I can switch it to where we can just run off the supply, not fill the tank, and then when we leave that area, we can switch our valves back to draw from the tank. And I also have a pressure regulator also from Amazon. A lot of Amazon purchases here. There's a pressure regulator on the outside of the bus, so none of the water in the bus is ever over 40 psi. We are retired. I retired December 31st, 2021. Barbara is semi-retired.
I worked in a restaurant for 30-something years, and the last restaurant that I worked, I've been there for 25 years. So when I'm home, I just go and pick up a few shifts here and there. Like right now, I'm working 2 days a week.
Well, I've got my YouTube channel, which is Hakuna Matata Adventure Bus. It doesn't make any money, and that wasn't the purpose of it. It's out there just to, allow me to share my knowledge with whoever could make use of it, and also kind of document for myself all the work that I did on the bus. So if I need to know how a pipe went behind the wall, I can find the right video, and I recommend that to everybody. Document everything you do on your bus to make it easier for you to go back and remember all the stuff you did. But that's it. Thanks for joining us on our tour of our bus. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch our video. We'll be seeing you around. Check us out on Hakuna Matata Adventure Bus.